Happy Wednesday. All right, so today I wanted to talk to you about subliminal programming and subliminal messaging and tie it into the QHHT that I offer. So there's four main brainwave states that most of us operate within. There's beta, which is the heightened, very alert and on brainwave state. So you're taking in everything around you, you're looking at it all. Usually it's more in that fight or flight sort of scenario. And then there is alpha. Alpha is a little more subdued. Most hypnosis modalities use the alpha brainwave state. As soon as you close your eyes, you're an alpha. You zone out while you're driving your car, you're an alpha. If you're like into something, in the zone, on your phone, reading a book or whatever it is, you're hyper focused, that's alpha. All right. So most hypnosis works in that alpha state. Then we have theta. Theta is a brainwave state that we transition through on our way to sleep and on our way out of sleep. We also spend a lot of time in theta brainwave state when we're kids up to the age of 7 or 8, and then we transition more into the adult brainwave patterns. So theta is what I use and other practitioners use that are quantum healing hypnosis technique practitioners. So it's a very deep brainwave state. And if any of you are those Mind Valley followers, there's some of their guests they have on their talk about how some of the geniuses of times past have used theta in order to help them with their creativity with the different inventions they had, where they would have a nap and have like a metal ball in their hand that would fall into a pan or on the floor. So they would be napping, but just as they're about to fall fully into sleep, they're in that limbo state. They would drop whatever was in their hand. It would make a loud noise and wake them back up. So they were dipping in and out of theta. So theta brainwave states are kind of hard to hold on your own. And that's why usually, like with QHHT practitioners, you have a practitioner holding that space for you so that you can be like asleep. You're not really asleep. You're kind of in that state where you're aware of your body, but you also know you're not fully sleeping, but you're not fully awake either. And then there's delta. So delta brainwave state is when you're sleeping. So you're gone, you're not here anymore, you're sleeping. What I do as part of QHHT is work in that theta brainwave state. So theta, like I mentioned before, we spend a lot of time as a child in theta. When you watch kids doing their imagination, their play, they're observing the world around them, they're learning how to be a person in their family, they're learning how to do basic things like their routines in life. I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I eat my breakfast, I get dressed, and you keep doing those things repetitively, right? Or the different rules or laws and things that are part of that particular culture that child has been raised into, with either over here in Western culture, over across the pond in another country. Maybe they have a family that is of higher socioeconomic status, maybe a family of lower socioeconomic status. All of these things shape what rules or regulations or norms are going to be programmed into this child. So theta brainwave state is where all the magic happens. This is where we do all of our programming. You could see us like computer software, right? So we are running this software, all these programs all the time. And a lot of times we're doing it in the background because we've been conditioned since childhood. So that's why a lot of therapies and things tap back into childhood, right? This goes back to when I was age whatever, and this parent did X, Y, Z, or where I had this event happen, because that's that theta brainwave state where we can change or edit the code, right? That's running our software. So as an adult, if you're tapping into that theta brainwave state, you can tap into your subconscious or use subliminal messages or programming. Another example I'll give you in alpha brainwave state is, so they did a study. I should have the citation, but I don't have it for you. Okay, but you'll just have to believe me. Trust exercise. They did a study where they hooked people up to a television, okay, And they said to these people, as long as you're in beta, this television will stay on. And the longest anyone could keep that television on average, was 60 seconds. So most people, you think, oh, I can keep a television on, like I can stay focused. Well, the longest on average was 60 seconds. That's not long at all. That's the longest. So a lot of people were not able to keep this television on for very long. They would slip into alpha, just like that. So what that tells us is that we think that we're taking in all the information, all the stimuli all the time, but we're not. We're not consciously doing that. I mean, subconsciously, it's all coming in all the time. It's getting stored in there. But consciously, we think we are experiencing our full reality, and when in fact we are not experiencing the fullness of our reality. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's why radio works really well, that advertising in the background. Marketing works, advertisements and commercials. You know, the same jingle over and over again. It just layers all those things into the subconscious mind. So by using QHHT, you are held in that theta brainwave state. So it's deeper than alpha. So you're going that much deeper into that nice absorbing sponge-like state, right? Where you're more highly suggestible and you have more access to information, and it gets you out of that reactive mind, right? The conscious mind is, oh, I don't want to look at those traumas anymore. That's really scary. And, you know, you get that chatter that deters you from doing things. You know, the ego wants to keep the status quo. When you're in those deeper brainwave states like theta, you can objectively observe and look at things that might normally be perceived as traumatic or inaccessible, or things that you've blocked out from yourself, with so much more clarity and focus, because you're exposing yourself to all the information, right? You're able to access more information in those deeper brainwave states, where the hypervigilant brainwave state, we are not there a lot of the time, right? Everything's kind of rolling in the background. So I find that very fascinating. So there's ways that you can do this. You don't have to do a QHHT session with somebody, where you can dip into that theta brainwave state. You can do it, I think it was Einstein, and I think it was maybe Edison was doing as well, where you're dipping in and out of theta by holding something and then having it drop as you kind of get it go in and out of sleep. You can train your brain to be dipping in and out of that theta brainwave state. Okay, and then you can get used to what that feels like and slowly get more conscious during that. What you can also do is program the software that you're running in the background. So the best time is as you're going to sleep and as you're waking up, right? Because that's when you're just going in and out of theta. So as you're going to sleep at night, you can do the simplest little thing. You can lay there and just slowly bring consciousness to every part of your body. And by doing that, you're bringing awareness to every part of you, right? It's a form of gratitude. It's very subconscious, but that's what you're doing. You can have mantras or affirmations that you say aloud, or what I usually do is in my head as you're going to sleep, right? A big one for me, I love Louise Hay. I had breathing problems in the past, a lot of really bad asthma for a few years that flared up due to stress and fatigue. And essentially what that meant was I felt I was taking up too much space and I couldn't barely breathe. So the mantra that it recommended I tell myself was that I am loved and I am safe to live my life. So I would just say that over and over again, going to sleep. I am loved, I am safe to live my life. I am loved, I am safe to live my life. What that does is, one, it turns off the chatter part of my brain that's making, I'm thinking, what am I going to wear tomorrow? What am I going to do for breakfast? Or what am I going to make for dinner? And I've got this other event going on. And then you just go down the rabbit hole, right? With all the things you need to do. You're focused on one thing. Number two, it puts you in a state of gratitude, which is a higher vibration, a higher frequency. Okay. And that's where what happens is everything in this reality is a vibration of frequency. So everything that is a higher vibration is going to naturally start coming towards you the more often you hold that vibration. And three is it's programming your subconscious brain that you are loved and that you are safe. so you can override that old programming. And this can take some time. You have to do it every night, but you'll start to notice a change, or you'll start to become aware of things where a situation may come up where normally you would get triggered or stressed and handle it in a different way. And all of a sudden you become more of the observer. You're able to be in that moment, having that experience, but also you're kind of stepped outside of yourself in a way where you can observe what's happening with more clarity and with less emotion attached to it. So more of a detached state where you can make better choices for yourself. And that also is holding that higher vibration or frequency, right? And then the universe is going to meet you where you're at. So if you're holding that better vibration, you're going to get better vibration outcomes. So you can use mantras. Another thing is paying attention to what is it you do? What are you doing before you go to sleep at night? I know a lot of us are on our phones scrolling. What content are you looking at before you go to bed, right? The dream state that you enter and the theta state that you enter before you get to that deep delta is affected by what you surround yourself with before you go to sleep. So if you're looking at a screen, what content are you putting in that software before you go to bed? You have in your head, oh, I'm an adult and I have control of my thoughts and my feelings and I can handle some of the negative stuff, or I need to get caught up on the news or whatever it is. But just keep in mind what state that's putting you in, right? Is it putting you into that fight or flight mode? Your jaw's kind of getting clenched and you're stressed out about what's going on in the world. You're staying up late doing some work. I just got to get this one last thing before I go to bed. And that's the tone you're setting for that program state that you're just about to enter, right? Before you get into sleep, that theta brainwave state. So if you can be mindful of that small window of time every day before you go to bed, what it is you're putting in there, you're going to notice a difference in, first of all, the quality of your sleep, but also the reality around you is going to start to slowly change. You're going to notice differences and that things are going to start to come towards you that are a better vibrational match, things that you want to happen. Another thing that you can do too is just listening to frequency, vibration music. If you've had a QHHT session, playing your audio recording back while you're sleeping programs the healing into your subconscious mind and layers in that healing that you receive from your higher self. The other thing you can do, I find it's a little bit harder, but it's doable, is when you wake up in the morning. What's the first thing you do? What's the first thought you have, right? You wake up, your eyes are still closed, okay? When you wake up, what happens is your eyes are closed. Sometimes the sound comes on, right? Your eyes are still closed, but your mind's awake, you're conscious, you're back in this body, and the sound turns on. You hear sound. What sounds are you waking up to? And your brain starts going. What thoughts are the first thoughts that you're having when you wake up? Is it, oh, I don't want to get up right now, or oh, I've got to hurry, I got to get going. What if you were to change that thought to having something where you open your eyes and you see something in front of you that is a positive or higher vibrational thing? It could be facing out a window, looking outside at nature. It could be a painting or picture of something that brings you joy. It could be a big affirmation that I am fucking awesome and I'm going to rock today. Whatever it is, even if it's kind of cheesy like that, what you're doing is you're still just creeping out of that theta brainwave state. You're just getting out of it. You're on the cusp of that, right? And you're entering back into the more awakened and conscious state. You're programming your software, right? You're programming things. So just having, and then throughout your day, I find it hard. Sorry, I'll rewind a bit there. I find it harder in the morning because you're groggy and you naturally go into that the old and the familiar. But it's totally doable to program things in the morning, right? What do you do first thing? Do you take a big deep breath and you stretch and yawn and enjoy a tea or a coffee, or just kind of sit for a minute and list off things you're grateful for, or you just kind of hit the ground running and it's frantic, right? These are things that are programming your life throughout your day. Maybe have mantras, sticky notes in your car, notes on your mirror. I have stuff taped to my walls that says, I am a good example of taking care of myself, or, taking care of me, my partner, and my kids, and just random things, and I am so loved. And I tell my kids how loved and safe they are all the time as they're going to sleep, and all these different things, right? So If you're exposed to something repetitively, that also helps to layer in the healing, or to layer in something really bad too. Like, what is it that you're frequently exposing yourself to, right? That's affecting your programming. But the most effective way to do it on your own is just before you go to bed and just as you're waking up, because that's when you're the closest to that theta brainwave state. So I hope you found this video helpful and informative, and it gives some of that power and control back to you and helps you to create and shape your reality. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.